Welcome to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm Katrina, certified life coach, aspiring author, lover of people, mama in recovery, and student of life. Each week, I will bring you love, inspiration, the real life stuff people are afraid to talk about, and guests who are willing to shine their light for you. I give you self-care practices and mindset tips to help you shatter the negative stories you tell yourself. Now is the time to step into the beautiful, loved, whole woman you already are. Let's walk this journey together. Hello and welcome to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm your host, Katrina, and you guys, I am just so excited to be here right now. My body is literally tingling and my heart feels like it's going to pound out of my chest from all the feels. And this podcast has been in the making for probably about 25-ish years now. And it's been on my heart for a long time to do. And sometimes I'm a little slower than the average bear. So when I have an idea, it doesn't always get off the road as quickly as it could. But I'm super excited to be here with all of you, bringing you everyday experiences from everyday people. Why this podcast? It has been on my heart for a while. I believe that more of us need to speak up, that we need to share our own truths, the real truths of ourselves, share those dark times and how we come from the dark into the light with one another, that there is not enough talking going on. And I see it going on in different aspects in our world. It's coming out in different ways. And I think some of us are just too busy being busy and focused on outside things. And I want to bring it back to the community. I want to bring it back down to the here and the now. So who am I? I'm a married woman. I've been married to my husband for 11 years. I'm a mom of 4. One of those is my stepdaughter. And I have 10-year-old boy-girl twins. And we have a 1-year-old baby boy who has just brought so much joy and laughter into our home. I absolutely feel like our family is complete. And some people are like, well, you were getting so close. Why did you start over? Well, because we're a little crazy, or a lot crazy, depending on who you ask. And, it was just on our hearts. We knew that we had more love to give. And so we brought our newest baby boy in. He just turned 1 this past summer. So mom, wife, businesswoman, I am working on my businesses. I am growing and learning just like anybody else out there. Most of the time, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I'm learning. And the only way to do that is to actually get in the trenches and start doing the stuff. Right. And, I am a self-love junkie, a self-growth junkie, personal development. I have a strong faith with God, and I am a mom that has been sober for 9 years, been in active recovery for those 9 years using the tools in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And within this last year, I have moved over to focus more on my emotional sobriety in the program of Al-Anon. And so that has been a tremendous shift and growth in a way that I know that I've been missing for so long. We live in the Western Washington area. I grew up not too far from where we live now. Our families are huge and diverse. My husband and I really love the outdoors, being outdoors and adventuring with our kids. We're a very active family with pretty busy schedules, just like any other family out there in this day and age. So I am just so grateful to be here. And I'll share more of myself with you guys as we go along this thing. And I cannot thank you enough for tuning in and sharing your love with me and sharing your love with your communities around you, because it is so needed these days. So why this podcast? Why this Just As We Are? So if I roll us back to about 25 years ago, I don't know, actually, I think I was 12 or so. I'm not sure, somewhere around that age. And I still have this cassette tape. I received a recorder that you could record on cassette tapes for Christmas. And I loved that thing. I immediately took that thing, popped in a cassette tape, took it around. We always had family Christmas at my mom and dad's, and everybody, my mom's family would all come over, and we'd do Christmas and presents there. And it was fun. It was a really big fun to do. And this recorder I have, it's somewhere, I don't even know where the tape is. It's somewhere around here, but I would take it around and I would just ask people to say hi. Or, I remember wanting to do little interviews, but I would walk around and I'd say to my cousin, say hi, or say to my aunt and uncle, say hi. And, so I have all these voices on this tape, and they're all like, hi, hi, hi. And I just had so much fun with this thing. And, when friends would come over, we'd sit around, I'd put it in the middle of the circle, and I've got my cousin there and a couple other friends there, and we're just all laughing and giggling and on this recording. And I've got songs on there I've sang with my, what are those things called? A recorder as well. When you, in elementary school, that you learn how to play hot cross buns on. Yeah, maybe some of you are a little too young to remember that, or they don't do that these days. But, and singing my song, my grandpa song who had passed away and he was in heaven, and singing to him. And so I didn't realize it until I dug a little deeper into doing this podcast, and it came to me as like, this has been on my dream list for a long time. This has been in me for a long time, and I've always known that I love speaking and sharing with people. So what a great way to do that, what a really cool way to do that. And so a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago now or so, another friend of mine and I who met through a mutual friend, and then we've also gone through a personal development series together through a company. And I was on Facebook one day and I was talking about, gosh, why isn't there more good news on TV? I don't like watching the news. I rarely ever watch it. To me, it's just, most of it's sad and depressing, and we need more good news. We need to hear more about the celebrations just as much as the sadness and darkness that goes on. And it came about, my friend commented on there, and he's like, hey, we should do, you should start a YouTube or something like that. I don't quite remember, but we ended up getting together and we started a podcast. It was called the Soul Flame Podcast, and I think you can still find it on Podomatic somewhere. That's the platform that we used at the time. And we got together and we started to record episodes, and we only did it a handful of times, and then we both just it fizzled out. We weren't committed to it. We weren't committed to it. But it was fun while we did it for that short time. And it's always come up for me, because Facebook memories always reminds you of what you did or who you are and all that good stuff. So we stopped doing it, and I always knew I kind of wanted to get back into something like that. I've known for a while I wanted to be a speaker and teach and share my experiences with people. Because to me, one of the most important things, there's a lot of important things in the world. I'll probably say this is the most important thing in the world, excuse me, often, but one of the most important things, there I go, is to know we're not alone in the world. And for me, I know all too well what it feels like to be alone. Like I'm the only one who would ever think this way or think these thoughts or feel this way or who could ever understand. And that's just not the case. We all have different experiences. We all have different experiences, and we all end up having similar feelings, similar situations, similar thoughts that come from those. So we can always find a way to relate to one another. And I think that it needs to be talked about more. I think we need to share more with one another. I think we need to get down to the deep truth more. I see it way too much, and I'm guilty of it still. It's an everyday practice not to get stuck in those dark thoughts, in those negative, or to isolate yourself. And you have to build the habits, and you've got to do the mindset work. You've got to do the work in order to turn those things around, and it gets easier. But I think it's with the way our world is today, if you look around, you can just see how disconnected we are as humans. We are so disconnected in this world that, actually it's way easier to connect now than it ever has been. The problem is there's not that human interaction, that human connection, that face-to-face that we all really desire. We were made to be in community with one another physically, mentally, emotionally, and not separated by technology, quite honestly. So I just want to bring some inspiration, hope, love to you all. Maybe you'll have some tears. Maybe you'll have some laughs. That's what I hope to gain out of this. And I so appreciate that God has given me this gift, that He has given me this vision, and I get to share it with all of you. So what is the Just As We Are podcast? This is where we get to come just as we are, no matter what is happening. You show up. I don't care what you look like, if you put your makeup on, if you have 2 different socks on, if you did your hair that day or not. This is where we get to come just as we are, no matter what is happening, whether we're through the trenches or on the high top mountain. This is where our truths are shared, where we uplift one another, we love one another, we hold one another up, and we celebrate. Celebrate. More of that could go on in the world too. You're going to get inspiration, coaching, laughs, tears, and so much more. I'm going to have guests on. I'm hoping that my husband will volunteer to come on. I know Cassidy, my daughter, wants to come on. So it'll be me and others, the community around me, bringing you everyday experiences from everyday people. We're going to talk sobriety and recovery. We're going to talk love and family, living in today's world. We'll talk faith. We'll talk about our darkest times and coming out of those dark times and what it looks like to live in the sunlight of the Spirit and what it looks like to live in the light. We'll talk some business. We'll talk, being a parent, being a sober parent. We'll talk all of the things. And my hope is that you get something out of this. You look for what you can relate to and not what you don't relate to. Being a sober woman and being in the rooms of AA, that is one of the very first things I was ever taught, was to look for the similarities and not the differences. And if you're looking for the differences, you will find the differences. If you are looking for the similarities, you will find the similarities. Now, let me say that again. If you are looking for the differences or the negative of things, if you are in judgment, that is what you're going to find. If you're looking for the similarities, if you're looking for the love, or you're looking for the relations, that is what you're going to find. What you focus on, you find. And we've all probably heard that somewhere, but it's truth. It is in such truth. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a meeting and there's somebody in there that I prejudge. I'm human. I still prejudge. And I prejudge that person. I think there is no way I can hear from that person. Like, I don't even want to hear that person talk. And they open their mouth and I am listening and I can hear, oh, you know what? Wow. I too have been there, or I too have felt that, or I too have thought that. And there is such a freedom in just being able to relate to that and just to know, I'm not alone in that. And then I can listen for their solution. So you guys, I am just so happy to be here with you. I hope that you find something in this podcast for yourself. I hope that you find love and support and hope, and share it with your communities if that's the case for you. And I am so excited to be here. I cannot wait to see where this road takes us, and I cannot wait to take this journey together. Thanks for being here.